A few months ago, in English class, I was given an assignment. We were given a list of titles, which were chapters from a book we had read, and we were asked to write a poem using that title, and the meaning had to be different from the original. As I was scanning through the titles, one caught my eye. More is not better. At this point in the year, I had a lot going on. Between honors classes, advanced art projects, my volleyball team, and the musical, my stress levels were quite elevated. So when I saw the title, More is Not Better, my mind went to the book report that was due, to my sports practice later, to my music lesson tomorrow, to the lines I had to learn. My mind went to all of the things that make me happy, but when stacked one on top of another made me really stressed. So I wrote my poem. It was 3 pages, and I got an A. Now, most kids would have just taken the grade and forgotten about it, but it really got me thinking. I'm involved in a multitude of extracurricular activities, and I do almost all of them because I love them. I do volleyball, softball, flute, piano, chorus, National Junior Honor Society, and the school musical. I'm a middle schooler, taking 3 high school classes. As you can tell, I have a lot on my plate, but why do I do all of these things at once? And is there a healthy balance to my courses and activities? Ever since I was little, I've heard the same song being sung. Get good grades, do activities, go to college. So that's the path I've been on. When I was little, I got involved in whatever I could. I did 4-H. Shout out to whoever knows what that is. I did soccer. I did Odyssey of the Mind. And I was a Girl Scout for many years. I tested out many different things, trying to find talents or strengths, because when you're little, you don't have to worry about much. As I got older, I started to slightly narrow down my options, but I still had a lot going on. I would sacrifice things I really, really, really wanted to do for things I didn't. My mom would remind me to work on my outside of school activities. But I had a personal awakening, and I realized if I kept spending my time doing these things I didn't have any motivation to do, how was I going to go anywhere with them? Why was I wasting my precious time doing things just because I thought they would look good on my college application form when I was only in middle school? I realized I had so many things that I had the motivation to do that I could put my energy into instead. So I dropped a few things. I made time in my schedule for my passions, and I'm happy. Who knows, maybe someday in the future I'll go back to my old activities, but for now what I've got going is good. And there's always some stress present in our lives, and it can be good. This curve demonstrates that too little stress in our lives hinders performance, but the side that most people struggle with is the opposite, with too much. And I've already had a fair share of stress myself. Last April, I was experiencing the most stressful period of my life. Every minute was spent working, and my schedule was jam-packed. For example, there are 24 hours in a day, right? Well, not exactly. Minus 8 hours of recommended sleep, and now we're down to 16. So, 16 hours? For me, still no. 16 minus the 7 hours spent in a typical school day leaves us with 9 hours. These weeks were during the school musical, so minus a 2-hour rehearsal, and now we're down to 7. I would spend roughly an hour and a half every day working on homework, so 5.5 hours. I would spend a half an hour in between school and rehearsal working on my group art project, and another hour at home. So now we're down to 4 hours. I would have to exercise for my volleyball team for an hour, so 3. Add an hour total of practicing my different instruments, and now we're down to just 2. My everyday activities, such as getting ready for daytime and nighttime, taking care of my dogs, eating meals, on average took about an hour and a half. So now we're down to just a half an hour. A measly 30 minutes of my 24-hour day to relax. But wait, there's more. I wasn't on the greatest of terms with a few of my friends at the time, and we would often argue even at home over text, so there goes my last half an hour. I was miserable those 2 weeks, and my stress levels were so elevated I could barely function. I even got sick the weekend between those 2 weeks. I got through them, thankfully. I was already starting to reevaluate how I was spending my time, but these 2 weeks were a real wake-up call to me, and I'm not the only person that's been overwhelmed by stress before. I've seen my friends, my family, my teachers all get the same way. So, how do I manage all of this stress? First, I try to prevent it in the first place. Before deciding to do something, decide if you'll really be able to put your all into it, or if it's something you might regret later. But if you do find yourself unbalanced by all this extra stress baggage, sit back, take a deep breath. Go read a book for a while, or watch your favorite TV show. Find your own way to control your stress. It's all about finding and maintaining that delicate balance. And as for my classes, school is definitely tough. I'm still finding my strong suits and my weaknesses. For example, probably shouldn't have taken that advanced art class. But throughout this, I've really learned one crucial skill: time management. Knowing how much time something will take you and leaving enough time open to do it so that you're not rushing and stressed. That skill can be difficult to develop, and I'm still learning it myself. But after I realized that I had to take responsibility, things became a bit easier. I realized that I was the only one who could do my work, who could exercise for my volleyball team, who could practice my instrument. That mindset can either feel like an unbearably heavy weight, or it can feel almost freeing in a way. Throughout my life, I've always tried really hard to do one thing: stay true to myself. Whether it was finding my passions or simply studying for tomorrow's science test, I've always tried to make sure it was really me doing that, not some stranger I was pretending to be. No one can tell you what to do or who to be. They can guide you, but the rest is up to you. We decide for ourselves the people to be friends with. We decide what to get involved in. We balance our own lives. There may be obstacles, but we will find ways to overcome them. After all, we cannot control the wind, but we can still adjust the sails. Thank you.